You think you are free. You believe you are choosing. You tell yourself, I decide what I eat, what I watch, what I scroll, what I enjoy. But that's the lie. Look around your room, the glowing screen in your hand, the food that arrives at your door without effort, the endless streams of videos, games, and distractions, feeding you more stimulation than your ancestors could dream of. This does not feel like a prison. It feels like comfort. And that is exactly the trap. Aldous Huxley saw this future. He warned of a world where pleasure itself would become the cage. Not chains of iron, not walls of concrete, but chains made of entertainment, walls made of convenience. A prison where you wouldn't fight for freedom, because you'd be too comfortable to care. And that world is now. Think about your own life. How many hours have you given to a screen? How many nights have you surrendered to endless scrolling, telling yourself just one more? How many dreams have died because comfort was easier than struggle? This is the shame you try to hide, the shame of knowing you are capable of more, yet bound by the pleasures that control you. You call it freedom. But freedom isn't having everything you want at your fingertips. Freedom is the strength to refuse what weakens you. And here's the truth you've been avoiding. Your pleasures are not yours. They were designed, manufactured, sold to you by systems that study your every weakness. Your desires are the product. Your attention is the currency. And the more comfortable you become, the more powerless you are. This is the velvet cage, the soft trap, the silent war you never signed up for. Huxley's prophecy was not just a warning about the future. It was a mirror for our present. A society where pleasure has replaced discipline, where dopamine has replaced meaning, where consumption has replaced freedom. And you feel it, don't you? The quiet fear, the frustration that you're wasting your time, your energy, your life. You scroll while your strength rots. You indulge while your will withers. And deep down, you are being controlled. But listen carefully. The fact that you are here, hearing these words, proves something dangerous. It proves you are not like the rest. Most people will never notice the cage. They will laugh, they will consume, they will die sedated. But you have glimpsed the truth. And once you see the trap, you can break it. By the end of this video, you will understand how the pleasure trap has been weaponized against humanity. You will see the invisible system that feeds on your weakness, and you will know how to resist. This is not entertainment, this is not comfort, this is initiation. The question is simple. Will you stay sedated? Or will you wake up and take back control? You have been told freedom means options. Endless shows to watch, endless foods to eat, endless apps to scroll, choice, choice, choice. But what if choice isn't freedom at all? What if choice is the perfect distraction, the velvet rope that keeps you docile, obedient, and entertained, while your real freedom rots away? This is the velvet cage, the prison that doesn't feel like a prison because its walls are padded with comfort. Think about it. In the past, rulers had to chain bodies, silence voices, crush rebellions with force. Today, they don't need to. They don't need soldiers dragging you to a cell. They only need to drag your attention to a screen. They don't need to whip you into obedience. They only need to seduce you with comfort, and you submit willingly. You hand over your mind, your will, your life force, smiling while you do it. This is exactly what Aldous Huxley warned us about in Brave New World. Not a dictatorship of fear, but a dictatorship of pleasure. In Orwell's world, people were beaten into silence. In Huxley's world, people begged for their own chains. Which world do you live in? Look at the evidence. You binge shows for hours, hypnotized by glowing pixels. You devour food engineered to make you hungrier. You scroll through endless videos, unable to stop, as the algorithm learns what makes you tick better than you do. Do you feel free? Or do you feel trapped inside a cage so soft, so velvet-lined that you barely notice the bars? Huxley called this drug soma, a pill that made citizens docile, happy, and incapable of rebellion. And you already have your soma. It's the dopamine drip from your phone, the sugar crash from your late-night snack, the cheap dopamine hit from likes, notifications, and fleeting pleasures. You don't fight because you don't feel the pain of chains. You don't rebel because comfort feels better than courage. And slowly, day by day, you become weaker, softer, more sedated. Do you know why this is so dangerous? Because comfort kills the part of you that hungers for greatness. Comfort suffocates ambition. Comfort makes you predictable, programmable, easy to control, and the system thrives on that. It doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about your potential. It only cares that you keep consuming, that you keep scrolling, that you stay too comfortable to fight back. Every hour you waste inside this velvet cage is another piece of your freedom gone, another piece of your strength surrendered, another piece of your life harvested. Do you feel it? That quiet shame? The sense that you're giving away something sacred every time you choose the easy option over the hard one? That's not an accident. That's the design. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. You are not being entertained. You are being pacified. You are not being comforted. You are being controlled. History has proven this again and again. The Roman emperors gave their people bread and circuses, food and entertainment, while the empire collapsed around them. The crowd cheered, sedated, too distracted to revolt. Today, nothing has changed. Only the tools are more sophisticated. Your circuses are streaming platforms. Your bread is delivered in neat little boxes, ready in 10 minutes or less. And you cheer for your own sedation. Do you see it now? The velvet cage is not forced on you. You walk into it, and once you're inside, you don't want to leave, because the cage feels good. It feels safe. It feels comfortable. But comfort is the slowest poison. It rots your strength. It kills your willpower. It blinds you to the fact that you're not free. And here is the paradox that should haunt you. The more comfortable you are, the less free you become. Huxley was right. Your prison isn't built from fear or force or violence. Your prison is built from pleasure, a cage so soft you don't want to escape. But I need you to understand something. If you can see the velvet cage, if you can admit that you're trapped, you've already taken the first step that most will never take. Because most people will stay inside until they die, smiling, sedated, never knowing they wasted the only life they had. But you're not most people. You're here. You're listening. And that tells me something dangerous. You might be ready to break free. You think you're in control. You think your thoughts, your cravings, your choices belong to you. They don't. They belong to the chemical dictator that rules your brain, dopamine. Dopamine is not happiness. It's not pleasure. It's the spark of anticipation, the itch of desire, the restless hunger that drives you to act. It whispers, press the button, take the bite, check the screen, and the moment you obey, you get a hit. Not enough to satisfy you, just enough to keep you hooked. This is the invisible dictatorship, and you have been living under its rule your entire life. Every app, every platform, every system you touch is built on this fact. They know your brain better than you do. They know how to trap you in loops you can't escape, and they don't need whips or chains. They just need to keep you pressing the lever. B.F. Skinner proved it decades ago with his rats. He put them in boxes with levers. Every time the rat pressed the lever, a pellet dropped. At first, the rat pressed when it was hungry, but then Skinner added a twist: variable rewards. Sometimes the lever gave food, sometimes nothing, sometimes a jackpot. And suddenly, the rats couldn't stop. They pressed the lever again and again, desperate, addicted, controlled. Now look at yourself. Every swipe on your screen is a lever. Every notification is a pellet. Every like, every ding, every scroll into the endless abyss of content is Skinner's experiment reborn. Only now, you're the rat. Do you see how disgusting this is? Do you see how humiliating it is to realize you are no different than an animal pressing a lever for crumbs of dopamine? They built an empire on this. Corporations, governments, advertisers, all using dopamine as their weapon. They don't need to force you to comply. You comply willingly because your brain has been rewired to crave its next hit. You call it checking your feed, you call it a snack, you call it just one more video. But it's not choice, it's not freedom, it's programming. And here's the darkest part. You never get enough. Dopamine doesn't work that way. The more you get, the more you need. The hit wears off, the hunger grows louder, and you chase harder. This is not pleasure. This is slavery dressed as satisfaction. Aldous Huxley saw it coming. He wrote about soma, a drug that kept people compliant and content. Today, Soma is not a pill. It's an endless loop of dopamine triggers built into every corner of your life. Your favorite shows, your favorite apps, your favorite foods. All of it engineered, all of it weaponized, all of it designed to keep you chasing the next pellet. And while you chase, your time is stolen. Your attention is harvested. Your life is consumed. The system doesn't even hide it. They brag about it. Tech executives admit they design platforms to be addictive. Food scientists admit they engineer flavors to hijack your cravings. Politicians admit they use entertainment to pacify the masses. You laugh, you scroll, you click, and you obey. But you don't have to. You can break this dictatorship. Because here's the truth. Dopamine is not your enemy. It's a tool. The problem is, you've let others weaponize it against you. They point it at you like a gun, and you keep pulling the trigger on yourself. What if you could take it back? What if you could control when and where you get the hit, instead of being its slave? That's the power hidden in this realization. Most people will stay rats pressing levers. They will die, addicted, distracted, and proud of their obedience. But not you. The fact that you are still listening proves you are ready to see through the illusion. And once you see the dictator for what it is, you can dethrone it. You can stop pressing the lever. You can stop chasing crumbs. You can stop being the rat and become the one who sets the rules. This is the choice in front of you. Remain sedated or reclaim sovereignty over your own mind. The dictatorship is real, but it only survives if you obey. You have been told that choice is freedom, that the more options you have, the freer you are. But what if choice isn't freedom at all? What if choice is the cage itself? Look around at modern life. Hundreds of streaming platforms, thousands of shows, millions of videos, songs, and products at your fingertips. You spend hours deciding, scrolling, browsing, but never truly choosing. This is not freedom. This is distraction disguised as freedom. Think about it. When everything is available, nothing is valuable. When every path leads to the same place, sedation, consumption, obedience, then choice is not a gift. It's a trick. This trick isn't new. The Romans perfected it with their bread and circuses. Keep the crowds fed, keep them entertained, drown them in endless spectacles of blood and glory. And while they cheered for the games, their empire crumbled around them. But they didn't care. They had their bread, they had their circuses. You live in the same system today. Only the bread is processed sugar, and the circuses are glowing screens. You scroll past 10,000 options on Netflix and feel overwhelmed. But no matter what you pick, the result is the same. Another night wasted, another dream abandoned, another piece of yourself surrendered. And you call this freedom? You call this power? Number. This is slavery by distraction. Here's the paradox they don't want you to see. The more choices you're given, the less power you actually have. Because endless choice keeps you in perpetual hesitation. You hesitate, you overthink, you delay. And in the time you waste deciding, your life is slipping away. Real freedom doesn't come from infinite options. Real freedom comes from the strength to choose the difficult path, to say no to the easy abundance of distractions, and yes to the rare narrow road of meaning. But the system has no interest in you discovering this. That's why it floods you with choices you don't need. It gives you infinite feeds, endless categories, bottomless menus. Because when you are drowning in options, you never notice the one choice that truly matters. The choice to break free. And it works. Most people stay distracted until the day they die. They laugh, they scroll, they binge, they consume. And when their life is over, they realize the truth too late. They never chose anything. They only reacted to the choices placed in front of them. That's not freedom, that's programming. And here's the part that should make you angry. You've been tricked into celebrating your own imprisonment. You celebrate the number of shows available. You celebrate the newest flavors, the newest apps, the newest distractions. You think abundance is proof of power, but it's proof of weakness. It proves that you've been fooled into mistaking variety for victory. Huxley knew this. He warned that when comfort and distraction replace meaning, society doesn't need tyrants anymore. It only needs pleasure, and people will line up to enslave themselves. So, let me ask you directly, How many hours have you lost drowning in fake freedom? How many dreams have you traded for options that never mattered? How much of your life has been swallowed by the illusion of choice? This is not freedom. This is not power. This is the game you were never meant to win. But you're starting to see through it, aren't you? You feel the frustration. You feel the anger. You know the choices are not yours, that the system has rigged the game. And that anger is the beginning of real freedom. Because once you realize the choices are fake, you can stop playing their game. And you can start making your own. Comfort feels good. A soft bed, warm food, entertainment on demand. You tell yourself you've earned it. You tell yourself you deserve it. But comfort is the most dangerous chain ever forged. Why? Because comfort kills the very thing that makes you human, your will. It dulls your edge, rots your discipline, and makes you predictable. A man addicted to comfort is not free. He is submissive. He is manageable. He is weak. Look at yourself honestly. How often do you avoid the hard thing because the easy thing is available? How many times have you chosen scrolling instead of studying, fast food instead of cooking, excuses instead of effort? Every time you choose comfort, you surrender a piece of yourself, and over time, those pieces add up, until nothing is left but a soft shell of who you could have been. This is why the powerful don't need to fight you. They don't need to beat you into obedience. They only need to keep you comfortable, because a man who fears discomfort will never rebel. A man who can't endure pain will never resist. A man who clings to comfort will always bow when ordered. Marcus Aurelius knew this 2,000 years ago. The Stoics trained themselves in discomfort, fasting, cold, hardship, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they understood its purpose. Discomfort builds resilience. It hardens the mind. It forges freedom. And yet, here you are, living in Huxley's nightmare, a soma society where every struggle is numbed by convenience, every hunger instantly satisfied, every discomfort avoided at all costs. You think you're living well, but in truth, you're being softened into obedience. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something truly difficult? Something uncomfortable, painful, exhausting? When was the last time you denied yourself the easy option and chose the hard one instead? If you can't remember, then you are already in chains. Not chains of iron, chains of comfort. And here's the brutal truth. Comfort doesn't just make you weak, it makes you replaceable. The system doesn't need strong individuals. It needs compliant consumers. People who obey, who buy, who scroll, who never question. Comfort ensures you'll be exactly that. But here's the paradox. The very thing you avoid is the thing that sets you free. Discomfort is the key. Struggle is the cure. Pain is the proof you're alive. You've been lied to. You were told happiness comes from avoiding discomfort, but real strength, real freedom, real sovereignty comes only from embracing it. So ask yourself right now, will you keep hiding in comfort, soft and predictable? Or will you step into discomfort, forge resilience, and reclaim your power? Most won't. Most will stay sedated, shackled by softness, until their last breath. But you're still here. And that means something dangerous. It means you might be ready to break your comfort chains. Wars are no longer fought with swords or guns. They are fought with screens, with signals, with pleasures so soft you never recognize them as weapons. And make no mistake, you are in a war. Every ping of your phone, every ad that flashes across your feed, every sugary bite, every dopamine spike, every distraction you welcome with a smile. It is not neutral. It is ammunition. Ammunition in a war for your sovereignty. You think you're being entertained, you think you're being served, but in reality, you are being subdued. Edward Bernays, the father of modern propaganda, understood this better than anyone. He said that those who control the mechanisms of society, media, advertising, culture, control the masses without the masses ever knowing it. He didn't just theorize this, he built it. He turned citizens into consumers, desires into products, and freedom into obedience. And what do you think happened after Bernays? His strategies were adopted, perfected, and industrialized. Today, every corporation, every platform, every government uses the same weapons. Not bullets, but pleasures. Not force, but seduction. Neil Postman warned us too. He wrote that we would not be destroyed by what we fear, but by what we love. Not by Orwell's boots stamping on faces, but by Huxley's soma, injected through entertainment. He titled his book, Amusing Ourselves to Death. And isn't that exactly what you see? A generation drowning in laughter, memes, shows, games, and distractions. Too amused to notice they're dying inside. And you're part of it. Scrolling, clicking, consuming. Calling it relaxation, calling it leisure, calling it freedom. When it is in fact, compliance. This is the silent war. No bombs, no tanks, no alarms. Just a slow, invisible conquest of your mind. One notification at a time. And the genius of this war is that you don't even resist. You welcome it. You beg for it. You reach for your chains, smiling. That's why this is more terrifying than any visible dictatorship. Because you don't see the enemy. You don't see the battlefield. And when you don't see a war, you never fight back. But the war is real. It is fought over your attention. It is fought over your time. It is fought over your very sense of self. And if you lose this war, you don't just lose freedom. You lose the ability to even remember what freedom was. Look around you. Most already have. They don't question. They don't rebel. They consume. They scroll. They obey. They have been subdued so completely that they mistake obedience for choice. But you are different. You can feel it. That suspicion gnawing at you. That unease every time you notice how easily you're hooked. That fear that maybe, just maybe, you are being played like a puppet. That fear is your advantage. It means you still see. And if you see, you can resist. The war is silent. But your awakening does not have to be. You've seen the velvet cage. You've felt the dopamine dictatorship. You've recognized the illusion of choice. You've admitted the chains of comfort. And you've uncovered the silent war. Now comes the question that decides everything. Will you stay sedated, or will you break the trap? Because here's the paradox that few ever understand. The real mark of power is not indulgence. It's resistance. Anyone can consume. Anyone can obey their cravings. Anyone can be seduced by pleasure. That's why the masses are weak, because pleasure makes them predictable. But the rare ones, the untouchable ones, they are forged in refusal. They become sovereign not by chasing pleasure, but by denying it. Think of the ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius sleeping on the floor when he could have slept on silk, Seneca fasting when he could have feasted. They weren't masochists. They understood a brutal truth. The man who can endure discomfort cannot be controlled. And now, it's your turn. The system doesn't fear your consumption. It feeds on it. What it fears is your rebellion. And rebellion begins with saying no. No to the endless scroll. No to the algorithm's hooks. No to the cheap dopamine that drains your strength. Each refusal is not weakness. It is training. It is discipline. It is sovereignty. When you put down the phone instead of scrolling, you're not losing entertainment. You're gaining control. When you sit with hunger instead of reaching for junk food, you're not suffering. You're proving your will is stronger than your cravings. When you step into discomfort instead of hiding in comfort, you are declaring war on the system that thrives on your sedation. This is how you break the trap. You fast, not just from food, but from entertainment. You cut the cord for a day, for a week, and watch the fog lift. At first you will itch, tremble, crave, like any addict deprived of his drug. But if you endure, you will feel the shift. The silence becomes power. The emptiness becomes clarity. You design friction into your life. Delete the shortcuts that make you weak. Remove the apps that consume you. Hide the buttons that trigger you. Make the easy path harder, and watch your strength return. You embrace discomfort. Cold showers, hard training, early mornings, saying no when every part of you screams yes. Not because these things are glamorous, but because they are weapons. Weapons that sharpen you while the rest of the world dulls itself into obedience. And finally, you perform symbolic rebellion. Small acts that remind you daily, I am not like them. I will not be sedated. Refusing to binge when others drown in shows. Choosing silence when others drown in noise. Writing, creating, building. While others rot in comfort. These acts may look small, but they are not. They are declarations. They are signals to yourself and to the system. I cannot be controlled. Do you feel it? That surge in your chest? That fire in your gut? That whisper in your mind saying, "This is what I was meant for"? That is not motivation. That is power, real power, because you're not just resisting a habit. You're resisting an entire system built to keep you weak. You're breaking chains older than you, chains designed by governments, corporations, and architects of control, chains that billions will never see, but you do. And once you see, you cannot unsee. Most people will never reach this point. They will stay in the velvet cage, pressing the dopamine lever, drowning in fake choices, rotting in comfort, pacified in the silent war. But you are different. You are still here. You are listening. And that proves something rare. You are one of the few who can transform. And transformation is not a thought. It is an act. So here is your initiation. The next time you feel the pull of the trap, pause, don't obey, refuse, even once, even for a moment. That small act of rebellion is where sovereignty begins. Do it again and again. Each refusal forges you. Each resistance strengthens you. Until one day, you look in the mirror and realize the weak, sedated version of you has died. And in his place stands someone untouchable. The world doesn't want you to reach this point. The system fears it. Because a man who cannot be sedated is a man who cannot be controlled. And that is who you are becoming. Not a consumer, not a slave, not a rat pressing levers, but sovereign, untouchable, free. Stop scrolling, stop numbing, stop surrendering. You've seen the cage, you've felt the chains. You know the truth now. Comfort is poison, dopamine is a leash, choice is an illusion, and entertainment is a weapon. Most will hear this and do nothing. They'll nod, they'll agree, and then they'll go back to the feed, back to the noise, back to sedation. But you cannot afford that. Not anymore. Because every time you give in, every time you choose comfort, you are choosing slavery. You are choosing weakness. You are choosing to remain a product in someone else's system. And that ends here. This is not entertainment. This is initiation. This is the line in the sand. You either step over it or you stay trapped. The choice is not about this video. The choice is about your life. Will you keep living as the rat pressing levers for crumbs of dopamine? Or will you become the rare one who sees the trap, breaks it, and rises sovereign? Most will stay blind. Most will stay weak. Most will stay comfortable until the end. But you are still here. You didn't click away. You didn't run back to sedation. That proves you are not like the rest. That proves you are one of the few. And the few must stand together. This channel is not for the masses. It's for those who refuse sedation. It's for those who see through the velvet cage. It's for those who are ready to rise untouchable. So, subscribe now. Not as a casual click, but as a declaration. A declaration that you will not be like them, that you will not drown in comfort, that you will not be harvested, sedated, or subdued. Consider this your initiation. The system will keep fighting to control you. Every ping, every ad, every distraction will try to pull you back into the cage. But now you have a choice the masses will never see. Resist. Stop apologizing. Stop explaining. Stop waiting. This is your command. Resist the pleasure trap. Reclaim your mind and rise sovereign.